Norman Thomas, 6 times candidate for president on the Socialist Party ticket, said the American people would never vote for socialism. But he said under the name of liberalism, the American people will adopt every fragment of the socialist program.
When this bill is law, 3 strikes and you're out will be the law of the land.
They are absolutely destroying the traditional Western civilization right before our eyes.
And I consider it part of my responsibility as President of the United States to fight against negative stereotypes of Islam wherever they appear.
The intent of the founders, that's what the Supreme Court is supposed to do.
I declare, I'm not going to pay for that wall.
Donald Trump want to protect our nation because he said that if he's in office, he will find the enemy and destroy the enemy.
Welcome to the Abolitionists Roundtable, your all-access pass to the 2016 Red, White, and Blue Conservative Revolution. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600. Now here are your hosts, Del Marsh, Phil Stargell, and Janice Daniels.
Daniels. I am your honorable co-host, and I'm sitting here with Phil Stargell, and Del Marsh has lost his microphone connection, so he will be back in the host chair in just a few short minutes as soon as Derek, the brilliant one, figures out what the problem is. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning.
How you doing,
and
sir?
What a great morning.
Indeed it is. A great working morning, because now the work begins. Absolutely.
Absolutely begins.
But first, I do want to say Happy Veterans Day to you especially for your service to this country, and to all the other men and women who have so honorably put on that uniform of the United States military, one branch or another, all of them collected together. I say thank you.
And I say thank you also, and I would like to just mention, I had the opportunity to speak with a great veteran over the weekend.
Ooh, who's that?
Former Congressman Terry Bentivolio.
Oh, Kerry Bentivolio. God bless his soul. He's a good man.
And that man served his country well in the armed forces. And I look around and I see people all over the country. And this man's record is almost impeccable. You know, he served the country in Vietnam and in the Gulf. And
he's also serving his country as a patriot and a man who is trying to make a difference in our political future, if you will. Why we allowed him to be unelected and taken out of office when he had an 87 to 90 to 100% conservative voting record is beyond my understanding, and replaced with a person who is at 33% on the conservative rating in Conservative Review. That's a shame. That is a true shame.
Yes,
and I was hoping that we would be able to actually defeat my Representative David Trott, but we were not able to. In fact, there was really no coalition that had been created to do so, because we were all very busy working to get President-elect Donald Trump elected.
Thank you, America. This is a great day in America. I mean, this is a great, folks, we have to really look at this. This is a great day in America.
Well, Del, I'm glad you're back.
Thank you very much. I don't know what's wrong with those headphones. I'm going to have to replace them now. They just went out. This is Mayor.
The Flintstone model.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him, but this is a great day in America. This is a awesome day. Folks, I want you to, we have to realize, and we have to thank God for this day. This was a God intervention. This is not something that we could have did on our own. This was a supernatural intervention. We had George Soros and his money. We had the news media, all the powerful news networks. Even Fox, we had people on Fox News that was against Donald Trump. In addition, Megyn Kelly. We even had, people that I used to respect. I'm not even going to mention his name. He's on this radio network too. And he said he was going to vote for Hillary. So we had a lot of people that was in opposition, and it was a blowout, a historic blowout.
I want to
I'm
add to
sorry.
that, you know, we defended
Yeah.
George Bush.
Yeah.
I mean, wholeheartedly defended him because we thought what he did was right, and we thought he was wrong for not defending himself.
Yes.
But what he and his father have done to this country, it makes me wonder if I'll ever defend another person that has the power that he has.
Yeah.
And he won't defend himself. I'll never do that again. George Bush Sr. betrayed the Reagan Revolution when he came in there and did exactly the opposite of what Ronald Reagan did when he was in office. Today we have that opportunity to go back and show people around the world what happens when you are true to the principles of this country and allow business to do what government is trying to do and doing a very poor job of.
Absolutely horrible job.
And so Donald Trump says he wants to cut taxes. I challenge anybody in this country to make the honest comparison of what happens when you do tax cuts and what happens when you do what President Obama did. And I got his agenda, his first
100 days?
Yeah, well, his first budget.
Obama's first budget?
Yeah, with the stimulus and all of that. Man, this country hasn't had any kind of growth since. And people are running around.
Yeah, that 1%.
Yeah.
It's about 1%.
They're running around saying Obama saved General Motors. He did this and he did.
Yeah.
You know, what a load of bunk. You know, but now we've got it, and I want people to make the comparisons with Trump's first year in office and see what happens when you look back at Obama's.
Yes.
And I guarantee you, you will see some quarters where there are 4, 5, 6%
Oh
growth.
my goodness gracious! We see that kind of growth again, Phil. We're talking about an economic boom.
And
we can tell that Obama was suppressing.
Yeah.
His administration has been suppressing this economy.
Yes.
Intentionally suppressing it. And suppressing, the American spirit from really growing at the level that it really can grow.
And the people of this country have allowed people that are in the media that are supposed to be economic experts, people that are supposed to be social experts.
Yes.
They have allowed them people to lie to them and tell people that the exact policies that Obama enacted were working, and when in fact they were just terrific failures. And so
Terrific failures.
Yes,
is that?
terrific failures.
Horrific failures.
Oh, horrific. Horrific. Okay. Horrific. That might fit it a little bit.
See, that's what we've done. We're saying things that aren't. You know, this whole the 8 years that Obama's been in there, all of the good in this country has been turned into bad. So, it's a terrific failure.
Yeah.
Terrific,
Okay.
horrific.
I got you. All right.
true.
All right.
And getting back to George Bush, just before I go, George Bush announced that he and his wife, Laura, the lovely Laura,
Yes.
boy, oh boy, they went to vote, and they voted what?
Well, they say they didn't.
They didn't vote for
They
Hillary.
They didn't vote for president.
Yeah,
This is what they say. They didn't vote for president.
But they emphasized they didn't vote for Hillary.
There it is.
But
okay.
if you didn't vote for Trump, you voted for Hillary.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and this is the thing. But George Bush's daddy did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
He refused to vote for Trump. This is unacceptable. And, I'll tell you, he, in my estimation, I said before, he is mainly responsible for rehabilitating the biggest sexual predator in the history of this country, Bill Clinton. It is him that got Hillary to the point where she could run for office.
Yeah.
They should have been disgraced and run out of the country.
Wow,
How
Mayor.
do you really feel, Phil?
He said a mouthful there, Mayor.
He
Well,
really
Mayor,
did.
I guess, do you have something on your heart you want to express yourself?
Well, I just believe that the work is now starting.
Yeah.
We can all have a lot of joy in the fact that
Yes.
Trump won the election. He didn't win really by a mandate. He really, he only won by a million vote, or he won by a number of electoral votes,
Yes.
but in the popular sense, half of this country doesn't like him.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that half this country that does like him sets the agenda,
Yes.
makes the rules, sets the plans, gives him the ideas. And in fact, he has a new website called Great.
Make America Great Again?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
I have to look it up. It's called greatagain.gov.
Okay.
So www.greatagain.gov, and it's a website where you can add your ideas to what would make America great again. Well, I've already added about 3 or 4 of them myself, and one of them is that we need to vet these people that are coming into our government. We need to vet the people that are in our government, and that's not my original idea. In fact,
Yes.
the first person I heard say that was Trevor Loudon, and I thought that was a very unique take on what could be done to help us restore our constitutionally limited Republican form of government. This is not a democracy, everybody, and I know everybody in this audience, the brilliant people that listen to this station, know that. This is not a democracy, and I am so tired of hearing that mantra, democracy, democracy,
Well,
democracy.
only one side use it.
Well,
Primarily.
Everybody's using
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
unfortunately, because it's like...
We are. We should not be using
I don't use that
and
at
we
all.
should
Never
not,
have.
We should not be calling Republicans conservative that are not
That's
conservative.
true, too.
But everybody wants to lump the Republicans and the conservatives into the same barrel, and that's not acceptable to me.
Yeah.
And the second recommendation that I made to the Trump website is that he should set up a new department called the Department of Constitutional Compliance. And I would like to see Dr. Rand Paul head that department. I'd like to see Chris Ann Hall be one of his high-level associates. I think those two people have the most solid understanding of constitutional law that I know of. Dr. Paul was the only person in the debates that consistently went back to the Constitution when he was answering questions.
And you and I know that that's the only thing that's going to save this country. That Constitution and people with the will and the strength and the good eyesight to see that needs to be defended to the death.
Absolutely. And any law, and I'm talking about any law that has been written since the beginning of man starting to write laws in America using the Constitution as the foundation, any law that is not following the Constitution to the letter is not is no law at all. They say an unconstitutional law is no law at all. And so Trump, he says he's going to, he wants to repeal 2 regulations for every one that he places in. I say get rid of 100 years worth of regulations because we've done nothing but stifle our economy and distort our Constitution to the degree where we almost can't even understand what it is anymore. The law, what is the law? It's supposed to be designed to protect people from outside aggression and inside insurrection. And what do we see the law doing? Crushing small business, redistributing wealth from one person to another. That's not what the law is supposed to be. And the insurrection that is going on in the streets of America today ought to be stopped on a dime.
That's right.
We have got to be a rule of law country if we're going to be anything at all. We have to be.
And you know what? You see primarily what states it's happening in. The primary in the cities that it's happening in. Primarily, these are liberal strongholds where these primary. And so, he's not a Trump is the President Obama is still the president right now, and you notice that he's kind of deaf silence on this right here because absolutely he want this. This is a continuation of what they had already. They thought that they were that revolution that they had going on in the streets. They thought it was going to resonate in the polls. Well, it didn't, and so now they think that they can use that revolution in the street called the underpinning that they tell these kids, which Phil pointed out, which is communism, but they tell them this is democracy. Kids are running around and they're running around pointing, saying that Hillary should go to the Supreme Court and demand that she had the popular vote, that we should remove this the electoral college process.
Right.
Now, on one hand, they said when Trump was saying the process was corrupt. Now, he's not talking about the voting process, the corruption, which it is some corruption there, but he was talking about that the whole world was against him. The whole media complex here in America was against him, where they were trying to rig the election.
That's right.
And don't forget that Barack Obama brought the executive branch of the government in against Trump. He went out, and his wife went out and campaigned on
instead of running a country,
which is unheard of. And you know what? I truly believe that with these refugee programs, these resettlement programs, I do believe that people were strategically placed in our inner cities and in our prisons.
That's right.
In our inner cities and our prisons to foment this revolution. And the sooner we come back to a law of order community, the better off we're all going to be.
If you can look that up, if I'm not mistaken, I think they did reinstate. Didn't they reinstate the voting rights to people that were in prison, if I'm not mistaken?
No, it was Terry McCullough reinstated felons that had been convicted.
That's right.
Okay.
And it was something like
60,000, wasn't it?
I think 200,000.
You think?
Really?
I think
okay.
it was.
Well, we'll look it up and just make sure we have accurate information out there. But here, I'm going to get to a call first, and we kind of get off track, but here, the title of the show, and you can listen to this show again later if you like to network it. You can go to our website, artofmichigan.com. While you're there, if you don't mind going to, it says GIF, if you like to push that and make a financial gift for us to continue and keep our independence, make a gift there. No matter what size of the gift, but if you can make $1 million gift, million is spelled M-I-L, but anyway, but if not, whatever you can give, $10, $20, we'll accept that. But I want to say this morning, the title is going to be under, well, you can go to our YouTube. After you make a donation, just click on our YouTube that's right there on the side pillar. Click on that, and it'll take you to our YouTube, and you'll see all our shows on there. And go ahead and become a subscriber. But it's going to be under Civil War in the Streets, liberals undermining our free society. And that's what they're trying to undermine. This is still a free society. We had a free election, but they want to create this civil war in the street. And so what they did is they manipulated this, because they had these young people under the assumption that Hillary this election was gonna be a landslide for her, that she was going to implement all these Bernie Sanders programs. Everybody was going to have popcorn. Everybody is going to have free, not just the Obama phone, but a Hillary phone also. And everybody was going to get cookies and candy and ice cream every day. We were going to finance, and not just that, you were going to get free college. We were going to indoctrinate everybody to be community organizers. And so now these community organizers are out in the street. Matter of fact, folks, I want you to remember this. They were bussed in all these areas. They were bussed in. There's a shadow government, and George Soros is funding these shadow governments that's trying to undermine our constitutional process. So here I'm gonna go to our caller first. I want to try to get in before we end this section. I want to get in this soundbite. I don't know if you heard this. You probably heard Van Jones. We want to show you how despicable the liberalism is. This is how despicable liberalism is. Okay, so let's go to our first, let's go to our caller, and we say good morning to Gary from Roseville. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. It is a great day.
Yes, it is a great
America,
day.
And it's such a relief.
Yes.
After all the back and
you can
forth
breathe now, huh, Gary?
And I went through it. you know.
The night before, did you sleep well? The night before the election, did you sleep? Boy, that day after it was over, man, didn't you sleep a little bit better that night?
Yeah, after it was over, yeah. But that night it was going on. I was up and, you know, in and out about, you know, my God, Lord, is he going to pull this off, you know?
Yeah.
But it was such a blessing. But I'd like to, you know, I'd like to make put two and two together here. You know, like you said, Del, you know, when this first started, you know, just like the protesters everywhere Trump went and, you know, spoke during the election, they were all bussed in, paid by the Democrat Party, George Soros. Same thing with these cities, certain cities. I think now we're getting copycats. They're not all bussed in. I think we're starting to get copycats, too. They're joining the crowd. But think about this. And I don't care what people think out there, especially Democrats. These are Hillary and Obama voters. These are Democrats. These are the ones
Bernie Sanders. They are Democrats.
Yeah, and Bernie Sanders. You know, this is their morality. This is their party. This is who they are. This is their kind of morals.
That's right.
You know, these are the ones. There's nobody could be more frustrated the last 8 years, last two elections, than me or anybody else. Did we go in the street and cry like babies?
No, of course not. No, we didn't.
No,
you know, there was a Tea Party revolution that went on at that time, and it was a peaceful, very peaceful rallies. And those peaceful rallies, all they were about is that we just want limited government. Right. You know, don't tax us. We can see that when the people had an opportunity to raise taxes on themselves. Remember, we talked about that regional transit authority. We see that they voted against that raising the taxes on themselves. So we know that they for raising taxes on others, but when it came to raising taxes on themselves, they voted against it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but this is Democrat politics at its finest, and this is Democrats how they operate.
Yes,
and the people that follow them. They need to wake up and, you know, stop, you know, just go home, put a diaper on some of these people, I guess, and send them home. But it's pathetic.
Yeah. Well, one thing,
you know, people, you know, don't realize it.
One thing we have got to do is we have got to insist that political correctness be eradicated from the language in this country. Because look at what's happening in Arizona. You remember when Jan Brewer, the former governor of Arizona, put together a shadow law that shadowed the federal law to the letter, and the Supreme Court of this land threw it down and told them that the federal government was the sole keeper of the rules and the laws of immigration. So that means that the states can't do anything to enforce their borders. Now you see that when somebody wants to make a change, they got, you know, like in the election process, what happens? They use that to say that the laws are not to be followed, and the federal government won't follow the law to protect the borders of Arizona or no other border. And we've got people walking across the border like.
And the Arizona law was based on federal law.
Yes,
that's the big lie too that they don't tell you. But here, the federal government saying you can't enforce the law that is federal law.
Yeah,
and we're losing states' rights in this country so bad. You talk about unconstitutional stuff. States' rights. A state can't protect its own borders, even if it's on the border of another country.
And what was the result? And what was the result? What was the result? The result was the guy that was the state senator that wrote that law was thrown out of office because of immigration, because of illegals, and because they were able to put. And they also put Jan Brewer out. She had been a delegate for 30 years, and they put her out of that.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Gary. We'll talk to you soon. All right, folks, if you'd like to join the conversation, we'll see you on the other side of the break, 734-822-1600.
And I want to also say that by those people using the law,
You're listening to the Abolitionists Roundtable, patriotic, red, white, and blue, conservative all-access radio, with your hosts, Del, Phil, and Janice. They're leading the charge and advancing the conservative revolution. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600.
Hello, I'm Milt, and this is Logically Speaking Uncensored. To God be the glory for a reprieve. After the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii on December 7, 1941, President Roosevelt mobilized Americans by declaring the date would live in infamy. It is alleged but not proven that a Japanese general declared the attack had awakened a sleeping giant. Whether the statement is true or not, a giant called the United States was awakened and defeated Japan. For countless years, Americans were asleep to the evil attacks of the Democrat Party. However, the candidacy of Donald Trump awakened millions of Americans to the reality that the Democrat Party and their provocateur, Hillary Clinton, had a master plan for a coup against United States constitutional laws and foundational principles. However, the election of Donald Trump as the 45th president on November 9, 2016 has given the nation a reprieve from another date of infamy. The dimensions of Donald Trump's electoral victory against enormous odds is almost beyond comprehension because he was fighting a multitude of enemies. Some of the enemies aligned against him was the Democrat Party, Republican turncoats, American Communist Party, the Black Caucus and NAACP, biased major media outlets, unionists, radical anarchists, liberal pundits, illegal immigrant promoters, devout Muslims, anti-Christian atheists, pro-abortionists, pro-homosexual advocates, feminist factions, and Hollywood degenerates. On Wednesday, November 9, 2016, when Trump's presidency was confirmed, all I could say repeatedly for over 30 seconds, as if by automation, was "To God be the glory." Because his victory was a victory for America, for it destroyed both the Clinton dynasty and Democrats' plans to activate the entire collectivist portfolio of President Obama, and it diminished Republican establishment influence and controls. I believe only God could provide the powers necessary for Trump to overcome his enemies as represented in Ephesians 6:12. Because Hillary and the Democrat Party and their barbarians were hours away from celebrating what no enemy, domestic or foreign, has been able to achieve, the downfall of the United States. But the unexpected triumph of Trump stopped their resurrection of Sodom and Gomorrah. The victory achieved on Tuesday, November 8, would not have been possible without the dedication of many people. That is why I want to congratulate a few patriotic entities. Salem Communications for providing an outlet for Joshua's Trail, Ben Armstrong, John McCullough, Mike Gallagher, Sean Hannity, and Darrell Wood, and Tea Party participants and Trump Flash organizers who relentlessly exposed the wrongdoings of Democrat Hillary. On Wednesday, November 9, 2016, we, the people, won a hard-fought battle. But the fight is not over because anti-Americanism is still alive. That is why my admonition to President-elect Trump is, do not make deals with uncompromising evil, for you will be making deals with the devil. I am Milt, logically speaking, uncensored, saying, thank you, buddy.
All right, thanks again to Milt Harris from Joshua's Trail. He always sent a great commentary down. You can listen to Joshua's Trail right after this show. you know, on the other dial. Matter of fact, at 8:30 we have Derek's show too, the Sportscast. What's the name of his show again? What's the name of your show again, Derek?
It's a Stone Cold Sports Truth.
Stone Cold Sports Truth is on at 8:30. All right. Cold truth. The cold hard truth at that. Absolutely. So, all right. Now, we have a guest with us this morning, and we have Mr. Christopher Harris with us, Chris Harris. And good. He's from Unhyphenated America. He's the director over there. And good morning, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, Dylan. Phil, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, and the mayor is here with us too, Mayor Janice Daniels.
Good morning, Chris.
Hey, good morning, Mayor.
All right. So you this is post the election. You wrote something about explain to us your article and go over that a little bit, and we're going to let you explain your thesis on that.
Specifically about how the legacy of slavery. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same article.
Yeah. That's the one that Debbie sent over.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, so we were talking about how the legacy of slavery can't explain why 25% of white women are now single mothers.
Yeah.
But the legacy of the welfare state surely can.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
And what's interesting is, just to give you a little background, when Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, when he was not a senator at that time, but Daniel Patrick Moynihan was a sociologist from New York, and he wrote this now landmark article talking about the black family in crisis. And it was because he looked at the stats and saw that between post World War II to 1965, that the out-of-wedlock birth rate in the black community had skyrocketed from 16% to 25% by 1965. And that was a cause for alarm, according to him. And he just was like, I don't know how this is not sustainable, essentially. And, and there was a lot of flack with that. People said he was blaming the victims and so on and so forth, and all sorts of discussion about it. But at the end of the day, it became a landmark article that's been referenced many times. Now, another piece of information is if you jump forward to 1985, 1986, so basically another generation later, ABC did a study, or did a TV show on the crisis in the black community, and it was showing that now the out-of-wedlock birth rate was 50%. Now, of course, we're all familiar with the fact that you jump forward another generation, and today it's well over 70%.
I mean, it should be alarm. It should be a siren. It should be your alarm. Everything should be going off right now. That there is a serious crisis in the community.
Yeah, but see, everybody, the first thing that comes out of most people's mouth is, well, that's the legacy of slavery.
No, it's not.
But, those of us who are around, I mean, my family's original. I'm from Detroit.
Yes.
I'm third generation from Detroit. And when I talk to my parents and my aunts and uncles and everything, everybody they knew growing up in Detroit, they had a mother and a father in the home.
Yes, they did.
So, so that was the norm. And it was only really their generation, the baby boomer generation, we started seeing the degradation of families and, people, being born out of wedlock. But here's the interesting thing, as I pointed out initially in the article, is that you have white women who are now having out-of-wedlock birth rates that are at 25%. Now, it was in the post-World War II era, was around 2%. It had grown to 8 or 9%, supposedly, according to Daniel Patrick Moynihan in 1965. But today, it's tripled that. So 2 generations later, it's more than triple that. It's at 25%. So it's at the same percentage that it was when Daniel Patrick Moynihan said that this was a crisis for the black community. Mm-hmm. And what can we blame? These white women did not go through slavery.
That's right.
So what can be blamed? The only logical conclusion you can come to is the welfare state that has always encouraged the degradation of family.
That's slavery. Would that be called the slavery of welfare?
I call it slavery, yeah. So it is the legacy of slavery,
Yeah.
but it's a different kind of
Yes,
slavery.
it's the slavery of government.
Well, I also blame Chris. And by the way, are you related to Milt Harris? You know, he's our good buddy here. Are you related to Milt Harris, by the way?
No, he's not.
Not that I know of, but
Okay.
you never know.
Never. Yeah, that's true. I'm thinking, though, and I'd like your opinion on the effect of the media that on our welfare society, on the high level of unwedded pregnancies in this country. It's a result, as far as I'm concerned, of 50 years of the media elevating promiscuity.
Yeah.
And as some kind of a goal for ladies to achieve freedom and etc.
Yeah.
And so
it was a time during the 80s they had songs out, I don't need a man.
Exactly, right.
The government was replacing that man.
So you must see, Chris, that the media has perpetrated a great deal of the destruction of our culture too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we just saw on Tuesday what happened, the repudiation of what the media has been telling us all this time. We have to say to the mainstream media, no more.
Right.
Basically turn it off. But yes, if you go back to this saw and come across my news feed that the Cosby Show is now being put back on air on, I think the Jump Network or whatever the name of the network is. So now, because everybody had turned off the Cosby, they weren't showing it anymore because of all the allegations against Bill Cosby that now has been dismissed. But here's the thing: like my wife will tell you that when she was in school, and whenever she was on any sort of punishment from her parents, the thing that they did was say, "You can't watch any TV." She couldn't go outside, play anything like that. She couldn't watch any TV. However, the one thing she was allowed to watch was the Cosby Show in a different world. Now, I mean, you got to think, why is that? It was because if they're going to say, hey, we still want you to watch positive examples.
Yes.
Isn't it interesting? Isn't it kind of interesting, Chris, that parenting was actually so distorted as to think that if you're good, we'll let you watch TV, and if you're bad, we won't let you watch TV. It's like almost reverse. If we wanted our children to be good, they shouldn't have been watching TV.
That's right. It should have been turning it
Yeah.
on.
That's right.
Yeah.
They should have been watching anything else other than, well, see, and I've pointed this out on many occasions. The Cosby Show is just a classic example. They're one of the last ones. But when you look at what we see in the media, you see dysfunction all the time.
Yes.
And every husband is a moron.
Yes.
That's right.
I mean, Bill Cosby, or Heathcliff Huxtable, to be more specific. Heathcliff Huxtable was the last strong black father. Well, I shouldn't say the last. I mean, I think, was it Phil or whatever his name was? The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But, Heathcliff Huxtable was the prototype strong black man father. Right, husband and father that everybody could. I mean, I remember white people, black people, everybody. They looked up and they said, "Hey, you know what? Heathcliff Huxtable is a great man, a great father, a great husband, a great father. Somebody you should look up to." And what's happened since then? It's all gone downhill. There's been nobody, and not just Heathcliff Huxtable. I have not seen anyone, any woman, black or white, who I have held in the same esteem as I did Claire Huxtable.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, who else have you seen? I mean, yes, you have educated. There's no shortage of beautiful, educated black women now. People wouldn't say there is a shortage, but just to say there are plenty of educated, beautiful, powerful black women on TV. But excuse my language, many of them are whores.
Yeah.
You got Being Mary Jane, and you got what's the Scandal and all that. Well, I mean, she screws around with any and everybody, including married men. I mean, but that's what's supposed to be somebody. You want your daughter watching her as an example.
Exactly.
We had Claire Huxtable. You get whatever that chick's name is on Scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what about the fact that so many of the media has put the government in when the people were on welfare, what they did was they said, it's not anything wrong with welfare. It's not a stigma to be on welfare, and they generally made welfare a just like another job almost, and they upheld the fact that women could be on welfare and do everything everybody else was done, and they were intelligent and everything else. That's why I believe you see the rise in white women that are on welfare and doing the single mom life, because they started with Murphy Brown with the single mother.
I was just about to say that. Yet with Dan Quayle, when he made his criticism of that, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're sexist, misogynist, caveman, pig, blah blah blah," whatever they called him, everything but a child of God.
And that was
pointing that out.
The start of what we see with Hillary Clinton running the Democrat Party ticket. They've made the having of children an excuse to have abortions. They're telling you that if you are pregnant at a young age, you're going to have you're not going to have a wealthier life as you would if you had gone to school and did all of that. So that means that they want more government to provide more money at a younger age to keep these girls from getting pregnant. But the wealth, the true wealth, is our children, our next generation. And I believe to my heart that we have to get that media, what do you call it, that pattern that they want to put forth to us as being the government being all-knowing and all-doing. And once we get the government out of our lives, we can do the things that we need to do to bring wealth into our community, because government actually leads us to take money out of our community and put it in another community, such as the Middle Eastern stores and stuff like that. All of the money that comes out of the welfare state goes into that, and they put it in elsewhere in the world.
Well, I'll tell you, I just had a great conversation with my brother-in-law who does, investment banking and wealth management banking. Mm-hmm. And he just started in that new position doing helping more wealth management. And one of the things he was telling me was how fascinating it was to see that for a lot of these people who were mainly white and some of them Arab and everything like that, he said that it really is very family-oriented with them and how they manage their wealth. And I said to him, I said, well, let me reference, and I'll tell you, President John Adams, the second president of the United States, and Thomas Jefferson, the third president, they had a contentious relationship while they were political adversaries. They used to be good friends, and they became political adversaries, and their wives both died, and they kind of kept in contact, and they wrote a lot of letters to each other, and they differed on some things. But here's a statement from one of the letters that John Adams wrote to Thomas Jefferson regarding wealth and everything. And he said, quote, "As long as property exists, it will accumulate in individuals and families. Yeah. As long as marriage exists, knowledge, property, and influence will accumulate in families." That was July 16, 1814. So think about this. That statement alone tells you, here's where wealth comes from. Here's where power comes from. It comes from family. Yes. And then we fast forward basically 200 years, and what happened in the black community? We ain't got no family.
That's right. Hey, I hate to cut you off, Chris. We're going to have to continue this conversation another day. I call the agency. We're going to get you back. Matter of fact, you're going to be on later this morning. What show are you going to be on later this morning?
Actually, I'll be on with Turkish radio and television. I'll be doing post-election follow-up.
Really?
On election day.
Are you really? Oh, boy. Yeah. All right. Well, I wish you the best on there. You're representing the voice of conservatism. All right. I got to go. We only have an hour. We got calls on the line, and so we're going to get you back on so we can continue this conversation. Thanks for getting up with us this morning.
Thanks a lot. God bless.
All right. God bless. All right. Let's go to, we got Gary from Gary from Hazel Park. Good morning, Gary.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
This is a fabulous weekend. It's a victory for freedom and liberty across the nation.
Hey, Garrett, hold that thought for a minute. Can I do two things at once? I know you have to say something about the election, but I wanted to get this soundbite in because I want WAM listening audience to hear this soundbite, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and comment on what you. But Derek, if you could play that soundbite, hold on just a minute, Gary. But I want to get this soundbite in. Get this soundbite in, please.
That belief about Donald Trump, man. Well, look, first of all, congratulations. Both of you guys were...
We're not there yet.
You're further than anybody said you would be.
Okay, hold on for a minute. Post that. I want to say this is from CNN. Okay, so this is they already predicted Donald Trump is going to win the election. And so this is Van Jones. I'm going to explain to you who Van Jones is in a few minutes. Okay, go ahead.
I have enough class, and I was raised well enough to say when you outdo...
Yes, sir. Thank you.
When you outdo expectations... good for you. But there's another side to this. People have talked about a miracle. I'm hearing about a nightmare. It's hard to be a parent tonight for a lot of us. You tell your kids, don't be a bully. You tell your kids, don't be a bigot. You tell your kids, do your homework and be prepared. And then you have this outcome, and you have people putting children to bed tonight, and they're afraid of breakfast. They're afraid of, how do I explain this to my children? I have Muslim friends who are texting me tonight saying, should I leave the country? I have families of immigrants that are terrified tonight. This was many things. This was a rebellion against the elites. True, it was a complete reinvention of politics and polls, it's true. But it was also something else. We've talked about race. I mean, we've talked about everything but race tonight. We've talked about income. We've talked about class. We've talked about region. We haven't talked about race. This was a white lash.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Gary. All right, now you can say what you... I had to get that out there because... on CNN, people should be outraged that CNN would have somebody on there that would actually say something like this. We talk about over the top. He said this is a white lash. Whites have the right to vote just like blacks, just like any other ethnic group here in America. But if they vote in their interest, it's a white lash. It's a repudiation of the first so-called African-American president. No, it's a repudiation of his policies.
Right. That's right.
It's a rejection of his policies. All right, Gary, go ahead. Now, what you had to say?
That's fine. Van Jones is a clown anyway. So
he's worse than a clown.
I'm against. Everything, if he and I were in the same room, we would be fighting all the time.
Yes.
Because I think this is a renaissance for liberty and freedom and spirituality in this country. The people Donald Trump is surrounding himself with are people of faith, people who believe in a better country and not the welfare state. And, the Democrats, they're responsible for all this because they made promises they can't keep. They made promises they had no right to make. And all the fools that followed them should have known better, that our government does not have the authority to give them all the things that they wanted. So it's on them for believing, and it's on the Democrats for even suggesting that they could do the things they did. And we have won this election.
We have won.
This is an epicenter of truth and freedom.
And we're going to have
this election was major.
Yeah, it was. And now the work begins, Gary. And I want you and a lot of other patriots in this community to go to www.greatagain.gov and give Donald Trump and his administration your plans and your ideas so that we keep the momentum going for the cause of liberty.
Yes.
God bless America.
And the voters for Trump deserve to have representation that represent them.
Right. That's right.
All right. Folks, go to our website. Thank you, Garrett. Go to our website, artofmichigan.com. Whatever you can do is very helpful. God bless America. We'll see you next week.
Invites the WHAM Talk 1600 listeners to continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan, 48135.
Or follow Phil, Del, and Janice at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.